Yo, what's up, dude?
What is happening? What is going on? I see we're both going full chuckles this evening.
Yeah, time to get boogaloo, man. How you been?
Yeah, I got my Joe shades on, man. We're ready to go.
You do. You're looking good. You're looking quite fine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Quite
and same to you.
I appreciate it. Wearing my old dirty operator's cap. So this thing's old faithful, man. So
how long you had that thing?
13 years.
Man, see, I lost mine. We had some made on my 11-12 deployment, and but anyway, I lost it a long time ago. Wish I could get that thing back though. It was awesome.
Yeah, I got this hat made in 2010. So
that's awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah, we got 52 comments so far.
Anyway, that's
what
awesome.
Were you gonna say?
Thank you very much. And everybody that's commenting, if you'd go ahead and hit that like button too, that would really help us out.
Would. Yeah.
I already did. And you want to be like me. Trust me. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. You want to be like Jeremy because, recon leads the way.
Hey, man, look, somebody's got to be behind me. It's usually infantry, but
it hurt. It hurt a little, like right up under there to say that, but that's okay.
Hey, I really think that infantry branch needs to rethink that follow me slogan, because you are following me, right? You are following me.
Well, I mean, it depends on if we're talking about combined arms operations, because we have our own scouts, right? So like my brigade combat team, we got all that. So that being said, that's generally just the officers that kind of try to spout that stuff.
Yeah, no, really, like everybody, there's like this little baked in rivalry between infantry and recon, right?
Yep,
it's
and armor,
and armor too, since technically, I'm a scout, but we are affiliated with Armor Branch, right?
Yeah.
We used to get those. Well, I think some people still have them, but those old AT platoons. Where you would have your hunter killer set up with your Brad and Humvee, right?
Yep.
I've never taken part of that. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think the closest thing I got to it was I was in an MGS platoon for a little while before they yanked that thing, and man, it was 50% fun and 50% terrible. Like when you have an FMC MGS, for people that don't know what the MGS is, it's a striker combat vehicle had a baby with an M1 Abrams, right? So you have like
with a main gun.
Yeah, so you have this 105 millimeter main gun on top of the striker platform, and like I said, when it's working, it is fantastic. But it's like every time we would go to shoot gunnery at the end, everybody just wound up hot seating out of the same Vic because
that one works.
Right. That one miraculously works. And really, I think like the weak point of that vehicle and that program was you don't have a spot for a loader. It has an auto loader in it. And that was the thing that went wrong every single time. Like every single time.
And that's the thing with auto loaders, man. Like we capitalize on the fact that Russian armor uses auto loaders, right? Why does the Javelin have top attack and direct attack? Because of the Russian turrets,
right? Yeah.
So why do we have auto loaders in the Striker MGS?
Like, I'm
we
sure
should
like
know better.
So I'm sure it briefed well. I'm sure there was a really cool CG, animated thing that they showed that the
it's like a 3-man crew. It's cool.
Right. You cut it down to 3 instead of 4. But the thing is like, okay, I'll tell you what kept going wrong, at least on mine, where there's a sensor that's inside the chamber there. And so when you put round after round after round, when it dirties up in there, it dirties up the sensor. And so the sensor thinks that there's still something inside the tube.
Right.
And so when you go to hit the load button, it refuses the command every single time.
You're
so
like,
So you wind up having to go in there, open the breach, kind of lick your finger like you're doing your comms. You know what I mean? To get in there, and then
you just got
So you clean that off real quick, and then
Mhm.
you get back in the fight, or you get back in the simulated gunnery tables. So, but that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I think you're now that was in a Delta troop. It was a heavy weapons troop inside
Yep.
a cavalry squadron, and I think, and so we shared that troop. It was half of us were scouts
Right.
on NGSs, and then the other half of the troop was infantry on the ATGMs. So,
Yeah.
and that's what you're doing right now too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Delta Company Heavy Weapons Infantry, right? So it's all 1151 Alpha Ones, 1167 Alpha Ones. It's all the ITAS, right? So with the
Right.
ATGM, anti-tank guided missile for anybody who's watching, right? We got to make sure that we explain our
Yeah.
acronyms. Yeah, the anti-tank guided missile, also known as the TOW, right? Or the TOW
Right.
2 Bravo, which
Toe
is
2 Bravo.
2
Yeah.
Bravo being bunker buster, meaning the letter B twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have those, and then we have the Crows 2, and then we have, depending on the mission, we can flex our density between all caliber 50, the A1s,
Yeah.
or the Mark 19, right? And the Mark 19 is a 40 millimeter grenade machine gun for anybody who doesn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like it seems like something that I would have dreamed up for GI Joe when I was a kid. It's like, can we take a grenade launcher and make it mate with a machine gun, right? It just sounds like something a little kid would make up. And then you get to the army, it's like, oh yeah, here's your fully automatic grenade launcher here.
And the Mark 19 is such a beautiful piece of machinery. It's only 8 parts. It's mostly aluminum.
Yeah,
It's inertia driven, so they don't heat up.
right.
That's why anytime I would play a Call of Duty game and I'm sitting there playing it, I'm like, the Mark 19 doesn't overheat.
Yeah, and it's such
What are
a
you
low
doing?
velocity. Yeah, it's such a low velocity round too.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about barrel swaps. You just got to make sure that you don't lose your ogive plunger, right?
Ogive plunger. Keep that, right? Right. Take out the guide rod, push out the ogive plunger, and hold it. Hold it like this. It's like the Jesus pin in your caliber 50. Like, where'd my Jesus pin go?
That thing's a ton of fun. I mean, as long as you got a good stock of LSAT, right?
Yes,
I'm not going to call it. I'm not going to say it what we
gun.
say we call it.
Gun rhymes with.
They're like whale semen, right? So, but yeah, I think that was actually designed initially as a maritime weapon.
Yeah.
And then because it does not like the sand, I can tell you that much. It does not like the dust in the sand, man.
No, because it.
Yeah, it gets real gritty.
Well, plus it's an over under versus an under over, right? So every other belt fed open bolt weapon, you grab it under and you rack it, right? Rack it, hold it. Whereas the Mark 19 is over, pull it back, one forward, and then you're safe, right?
Right.
So when a Mark 19 gets dirty, because when you do that and it should go clunk and make that fun sound, it makes the bad sound. You're like, oh, damn it.
I learned all that while I was failing Mike Golf. So when I was failing the Master Gunners course. So, but that wound is healed. That one doesn't sting anymore. It's got a pretty respectable dropout rate too, so I don't feel too bad.
So let me read a couple of comments, then we'll break down Michael.
Okay.
So right off the bat, we got a super chat from our good friend Brandon R. So Santa Brandon throwing out some Beastie Boys lyrics. So you got to fight for your right to party.
You got to fight for it. You got to keep it.
They actually hated that song, which is funny, because that was like their sellout song. But anyway, thank you, Brandon. We really appreciate that. And so Jeremy, my buddy,
sir,
Daddy, we got Chris from Cutthroat Comics here. We got ML Series who says, I saw the world premiere of the intro and it is most wonderful. Looking forward to catching tonight's show. Thank you very much. And I don't know if you caught it last night, Jeremy, but I premiered it on that anniversary show.
Yeah, I was there. I was in the chat.
Yeah. Well, I knew you were there, but I didn't know if you were there at that moment. Cool. And then, Brandon R's here. Zazel from Sergeant Slaughterhouse is here. So Megaforce thumb kiss to you, good sir. Who else we got? Scrolling. Beta Ray Bob. Someone is on a Beastie Boys kick. Keep it going. Well, thanks for being here, buddy. We appreciate it. Brandon's he's all about the Beastie Boys lyrics. And then this dumb had to get in on it too. And then Jenny Geek is here. What's up, buddy? Says,
hey, what's going
evening,
on?
everyone. Good to see you. Jim from Largo's Lair is here. Jim's also a veteran, so thanks for being here, Jim. We appreciate it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Hey, buddy. Oh, and I wasn't blowing smoke. I'm working on that track list. So hold me accountable. Hold me to it. I will get it to you, but got a lot of moving pieces going on right now, and you know, in a 7-month-old in the mix as well. So it's
you got an infant. Yeah, you're busy.
Yeah. You can't spell infantry without infant.
Another veteran, Patrick from Big Bacon is here, so thanks for being here from the bunker.
Sir, you get that crisp salute. And
then our good buddy Scuba Pete's here. What's up, Pete?
Hey, Scuba.
Glad to see you, man.
What's up, man? I was hoping Scott was here. We were actually having a conversation about the Ojive plunger a couple nights ago. So I'm not gonna give any context. I'm not gonna give any context.
And then Shark Eyes is here. What's up, Shark Eyes? Greeting friends and enemies. Target rich environment, right?
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that. Danjamin's here. What's up, Balake? Good to see you, man. Cool. Pericles is here. Hey, what's good, everyone? What's good, Jeremy?
Everything. We're here on Memorial Day.
Yes.
You know, a couple of vets getting together on Memorial Day, talking about you know, something that we both really enjoyed together. So that is what's good. That's what I'm thankful for today.
Yeah. Crush your enemies, drive them before you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Xerxes, what is best in life?
Crush your enemies. And then Woodman's here. What's up, Woodman? Good to see you, buddy. Mo's here. What's up, Mo?
What's going on?
I think we are about Samuel Ender. What's happening, Samuel? Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, Sam?
What's happening, brothers? Very good to see you. I think we are pretty. Oh, Aaron from Payne's Toy Samples. What's up, dude? Good to see you, man.
What's up, man?
Ratface 44 is here. Very cool. Chronically Online. Hola, vatos.
Hey, I was talking to him the other day too.
Que peso.
Yeah. He was asking me if I want to come on and recreate the worst Loose But Complete episode ever, talking about Marvel Legends, and I was so out of my depth. I know, I remember. I was like, man, I want your show to do well. You know, please find somebody else to talk Marvel Legends with. You know, anything
fail
else
forward.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna fail forward.
Like, and just so everybody knows, I'm not just dressed like Chuckles from the waist up. I do have BDU pants on, tucked into combat boots. Right? Yeah, there you go. I just need to get that 6 shoulder holster, man.
Yeah, gotta get that.
I'll have that. If this is gonna be bi-weekly, I'll have one for next time for sure.
All right, we'll do it. I'll wear my Vietnam snake eyes.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Very cool. But anyway, good to see you here, Chronically. Thanks for coming, man. Chronically's cool, man. He's a cool dude. Jesse's here. What's up, Jesse?
Hey, what's going on, Jesse?
You don't know what? Sorry.
I don't know who Patriot Force USA is, but you were in the right place.
Oh, I'm getting there, and I will drop that. Jenna Geek says Hawaiian shirt night. Don't I like almost like I wear Hawaiian shirts at least 50% of the time, right?
I mean, if you're gonna boog, you know, but boog boy's gonna boog, you know.
Yeah, you gotta, man. When we were in Africa for all of 2020, we were doing that that CJTF, the Combined Joint Task Force Horn of Africa thing, which was, dude, that thing was a shit show. And anyway, what's up, Photo Viper? Good to see you, man. Been waiting for this all day. We are very thankful for that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
But we were in Africa. They made us go to the range on a combat deployment. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Sure, I'll take my platoon to the range. And they were like, hey, Sergeant, what's the uniform? And I'm like, combat pants, Hawaiian shirts, operators caps, aviators,
Yeah,
peltors. That's
right.
what we did.
And a
That's
PT
what we
belt.
did.
And a PT belt.
Yeah, two. Right?
Yeah,
You gotta cross
you
bandolier PT belt.
you gotta cross them up like 762 belts, right?
Yeah, dude. Do you remember all those action figure therapy skits?
Yeah, with Recondo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with where it's called Jungle Recon.
Yeah, Jungle Recon. You dumbass
Hell
snake!
yeah, put one on your body today.
You dumbass snake! I'm about to eat you with some mayonnaise. Oh, and
said, you want to go to the jungle?
Too.
I said, man, I ain't scared of shit. Yeah, totally.
He said, you want to kill a whole bunch of people, not go to jail? I said
fuck yeah, who don't? You ever shoot a machine gun on peyote? JLS Comics is here. What's up, dude?
Oh, hey, what's going on?
So, I'm going to get to the rest of the chat. So, how is everyone's Memorial Day going? How's your Memorial Day, Jeremy?
Look, mine's going good. I would say I'm observing it in the normal fashion, but I had a 7-month-old to take care of all day because Holly had to work today. Oh, sorry, I doxed my wife's name. Anyway, so
delete
stream's over.
We gotta go. Ceasefire. We're out. Anyway,
so I got to hang out with my son for about 8 hours today before Holly came and tagged me out. But it's cool, man. Sitting back, having a couple of beers, right? Just observing Memorial Day in the classiest manner that I possibly can, man. I think it's anybody that came up in the GWAT days like you and I did, or for people that don't know, the Global War on Terror. It's such a long lasting conflict that it's hard not to either been affected by the loss of a service member or know someone that was affected by the loss of a service member. So the interesting thing about the GWAT veterans, and I think this goes across the board, is that my organization, we lost more to the fight at home than we did downrange. Like we really did.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to get too down into it because I know my buddies that who are no longer here. If they were to see me getting inside my feels about this stuff, they'd probably call me a derogatory word for a female body part. They'd call me that and tell me to drink a beer. So that's exactly what I'm doing for those guys.
Yeah. My wife and I are having a uniquely difficult Memorial Day this year. So we both knew an E7. Now, when he was an E6, he was in her platoon. He was one of her squad leaders, right? Because my she's an infantry officer.
Right.
When she was a brand new PL, he was one of her squad leaders. And like a good senior E6 or E7 who's worth their salt does, is they help shape their new officers.
Right. Yeah.
And he was a huge influence on her career. Been around forever. Right? Had a star on his jump wings, all that stuff.
Really?
Solid dude. Yeah. I won't say what his real name was, right? But his code name was Big Red. Mm-hmm. He was a very, very large Navajo man. Very big, like bigger than me. And super kind, super gentle, one of those dudes that you'd really want in a firefight. And we all deployed together in 20. We came home this last November. We all did our PHA, right? You know how periodic health assessments, right? We all got to do it lottie-dottie, or everybody gets in line. So by this time, he was an E7. He was in my weapons company, and he was one of my fellow platoon sergeants. They gave him a clean bill of health. He drove home. He walked in the front door, and he fucking died. And that's the second to the last guy that we lost. And because my wife and I were so close with him, like today we've been kind of talking about him a lot. So
yeah.
But yeah, he would probably say the same thing.
Yep. So. But today's the day to do it. Honestly. So, and I don't think that any one of them would want us, lingering in that.
No, no. But it's still like my old XO, we lost our XO, and I still have his phone number in my phone. I won't get rid of it. And this was 2012.
Yeah.
So it's it's just one of those things. But yeah, so it's Memorial Day. It's not Veterans Day.
Nope, it's not
different. So I've been getting the thank you for your service stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still here. So
you can thank me for my service later. If anybody's wondering, I'm opening up. I'm starting a new Vet Bro coffee brand. So there's no better way to thank me for my service than to buy my coffee or T-shirts or whatever Vet Bro stuff is going on. I don't know.
You know what?
What's the popular Vet Bro entrepreneur idea right now?
I think it's coffee still.
Is it coffee?
I think so. Yeah. Are you mocking the way that I say that?
Yeah, because you don't want to spill the coffee on the carpet, right?
Stop it. Anyway, moving on. Fuck. So Plastic Mercenaries here. What's up? Good to see you.
How are you?
Yes, Jesse. Rangers lead the way, but the officers have that whole follow me crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Patrick's laughing. So that's cool.
Ranger Bat still has a recon platoon though.
Yeah.
So
and then Woodman says, man, now I got to get me a Chuckle shirt.
Oh man, it's great. It's awesome. It's the easiest cosplay that you're ever going to do. But besides doing Danielson, you just go to your sports and outdoors place, get a white karate gi, right?
Whoa! No. You got to have the.
No, I got one. I picked up one on eBay for like $13. I wore it on a stream that I was somebody's I got the link to it like really late. It was on Axion's stream
nice.
Last night. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get to him in just a second. So Anthony Romo's here. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Action or Axion? What I think it's Action Figures. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is blessed Memorial Day. Yeah, you too. Yeah.
I think it's actually AK Zion.
Actually, AK Zion.
It's the Kalashnikov Zion.
It's a Kalashnikov.
No, I love it. It's Axion Figs. It's Axion Figs.
Anthony doesn't drop stuff. Romo. Yep, absolutely. Moving. We're moving along. Photo Viper says the Mark 19 is wicked.
It is. When it's working, it's great.
Do me a favor, good sir. So next time you type it out as announced in the crew fire command. So it's MARKIA-19. Mark 19, spell it right, as announced in the crew fire command.
You know that the worst thing is like when you're at the range, even like with your 203 or 320, whatever, right? Because there's such a the 320 round is definitely low velocity compared to the Mark 19 one. They're both 40 Mike. But what sucks is that like letting go like a 3 to 5 round burst on that Mark 19, right? And then you just see the wind carrying them.
And then you wait, yeah.
Right, because they have such a large surface area that they're really susceptible to crosswind, right?
Yeah,
and so you'll let them go, and then you just see the wind carrying them off target. You're like, no, yeah, it sucks.
You're like, where's that stupid range flag?
Yeah.
On the way.
So it reminded me what my the left limit was, because I think I went lefter.
Yeah, I went lefter of the leftist.
Yeah.
And all you hear is just fire down range. Like, damn it. Yeah. Anyway, so Embargo's here. What's up, dude? Glad to see you. Drew G says, I keep wanting to comment, but everything is going over my head like one of them flying contraptions. Sorry. Yeah.
So should we just make the assumption that, because I don't want to like insult anybody's intelligence that's actually knowledgeable about this stuff, so should we stop using like as many acronyms, or maybe like go into things that we're talking about?
We will.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But I think we're explaining it as we go. So Embargo says, so with that shirt, does this mean Jeremy is the Action Force mail away?
Man, one could only dream, dude.
Jiu-jitsu.
that would be so cool.
That would be rad.
Yeah, I do not have a face. I do not have a toyetic face. So
yeah, you do, man. Get out of here.
And I showed my selfie series to my child and he cried. So, I do not have a face for marketing. All right.
I wouldn't even try to get a selfie series. I would be like, what the shit is that? Anyway, Matt Noon's here and says, hey, all, can't wait to get this perspective on Joe's. Cool, man. Glad you're here. Thank you so much.
Right. So the title of the show, the Warno, right? The warning order. So we are not going to be covering any lore this evening, but we're going to be doing a little bit of a, introduce yourself to everybody, right?
Crawl, walk, run.
Yeah, we'll do the crawl, walk, run method with that. But we're hoping we had a sidebar conversation about this. We're kind of hoping that this turns into like a G.I. Joe book club. Right. And so we're starting off with this Chuck Dixon run, right? The IDW G.I. Joe there.
Yeah.
So if you have this book, this is the first series that we're going to be going through. So if you want to read it, in between shows and join the chat to talk about it with us, that'd be really, really cool. So the G.I. Joe book club, and you can see here that mine is autographed, right? Which is pretty sweet. Yeah. Get on my level, plebs. Hey, look at that. I got a Snake Eyes in there too. So pretty awesome. So yeah, we're starting off with this, and we've been saying, we're gonna break down Joe, not really Joe lore, but I guess we could kind of get into that too, but really like TTPs or like tactics, techniques and procedures. Of how they're, like before the mission, as far as like TLPs or troop leading procedures, planning for a mission, MDMP, which is what we call the military decision-making process, right? And how all that goes, to the 7 troop leading procedures. We'll probably get into that as well, receive the mission, warning order, all that stuff, how
your whole Rimicus.
Yeah. So we're going to go into all of that, like how this would work in the real world if these missions were actually being conducted, and then give our perspective on because everybody knows like the first casualty of every engagement is always the plan. It's the first thing to die, right? So
the minute you step off, the best plan is gone. It's just like comms, like always expect your comms to fail.
Right. And so I'm reading through this book and I can see that, in the story, I don't know if it was intentional by Chuck Dixon or not, but they start going into Met TC.
Chuck Dixon's a vet too.
Oh, that's right. He is. Right.
Yeah, he is.
So, and then,
we're going to get Chuck Dixon on the show.
Hey, look, if we could get Chuck on here, that'd be awesome, man.
Just wait for it.
But, like I was saying about Met TC, that's another acronym that you need to keep in your head. As far as like the planning process is concerned, and then actually past the planning process, once you're actually out in the field as well, because that's like Met TC for me anyway is like the catch-all.
It's Met TC dependent.
Yeah, Met TC dependent, sir. I'm not sure what to say, but that's that's mission, enemy, time, terrain, troops available, and then civilian considerations. Yeah, civilian considerations.
Yeah. It's all the framing and shaping stuff that you have to consider when planning a mission, right? Because then it prevents fratricide, overkill, proportionality, all that stuff.
Yeah, overkill, overmatch, right? All that kind of good stuff. So, which luckily, the two of us are pretty well versed in, right? So it should be.
You went to Mike Golf and I graduated Mike Golf. So yay!
Hey, look, I passed vehicle recce, right?
That is hard, man.
Yeah. So vehicle recognition was super tough. For anybody that doesn't know about that, they're going to give you a slide deck of like 70 different, foreign and American
50 day, 50 night, and of the night, it's all thermal presentations.
Right.
There are so many wheeled, tracked, armored, unarmored.
Right.
And then there's rotary wing and fixed wing aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot get a single American or allied wrong, or it's an immediate no-go.
Right.
Yeah. And you can only miss 10.
Well, and here's the other thing too. Now, when I went through, I don't know if they did this when you went through, but you have to know primary weapon system, secondary weapon system,
Yep.
and then also max effective of the primary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So it's a lot of knowledge to put in your head, but I did pass that one, which really sucks when you're looking at the thermal ones too, because like you're like, I swear it's a Bradley, but then you look at the exhaust.
It's a warrior.
Yeah, you look at where the exhaust at. It's like, oh god, you Brits, you son of,
Or you're looking
English.
at that Leopard 2 and you're like,
yeah. Is that the Leopard? Yeah, is that the Leopard?
The ones that would get me pretty bad were the M1A1 Abrams and the South Korean K1N1, because it's the exact same vehicle.
Well, except for the suspension system, but right. Did you know that about the Korean ones that they have?
Yeah, the hats in the left. Yeah.
Right. So they almost have it like it's on bags, like a lowrider or something. So they could if you're going down the slope of like a,
but
they're
body,
doing a lot
armament,
of mountainous,
all that stuff. Down to the 120 millimeter smoothbore, because they based it on our tank.
Right. Yeah. It's almost the same damn thing.
Boom. Thank you, sir. We greatly appreciate that.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate that a lot.
Look at this. Photo Viper's like, I got you guys with me on the back deck. Just fired up the grill, barbecue chicken. There you go, man.
Hell yeah.
Enjoy it. And Scuba Pete, thank you so much. $10 super chat. Happy first year anniversary, Chad. I really appreciate that, Pete. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. First year, you're already you're creeping up on 2,000 subscribers already, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's shorts, man, because YouTube's trying to be like TikTok. They're trying to compete with TikTok. Right. I could do like a produced video and take like a week to do it, and it'll get like 200-300 views. I could do a dumbass short and it'll get like 5,000.
Right.
but I like the more informative stuff. That short form, like ADHD, 10 seconds or less. I'm not the best fan.
But that's what, the vast majority of the users on the platform are younger, and that's what they've been conditioned to now, right? It started with Vine and
fucking dumbass privates.
Yeah. Essentially. Yeah.
So Shark Eyes is watching from the land down under as well. And Lawrence, thank you for being here. We know that you're on after this. So we appreciate you popping in, man. Thanks for being here. Tiger of Kai is here. What is up, dude? So last night on my massive giveaway, Tiger of Kai won all of the HasLab Sky Striker figures.
Yeah.
That was
I was watching that. I want you to know that I was the first one in that said Ron Rudat, right? I was like, dude, I'm on a delay. I have to be.
You may have been, because even while I was watching the chat, I wouldn't see any responses, and then I'd see like 8.
Yeah.
So
the question wasn't even done yet, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna recon this by fire. I'm gonna do some recon by fire, because you were talking about the artists doing the design. I was like, Ron Rudat, let's just throw it out there.
Before he left, Rudat.
See if I can elicit a tactical response, right? By a little recon by fire. Which is my favorite kind of recon.
Look. Not only as a master gunner for a heavy weapons company, and technically for my entire battalion, right? Yeah. Because all the freaking pogues in the FSC, or the forward support company, right? They have to go through gunnery as well, because they convoy all the fuel and ammo and all that stuff. So they have to be able to, fight as they convoy. So I got to drag all those pogues into gunnery as well. Persons other than gunmen, people other than gunmen, whatever you want. Pogues, reps, rear echelon, mother. Right.
Hey, look, some of those, you run into an E7 that's over in the log platoon, right? And they know their stuff, like
some of them do,
sure. Because a lot of times you're going to have those senior NCOs now that, as they were coming up in the GWAT, right, they were doing clip missions, which is combat logistics patrols. So they were up and down MSR Tampa on a day-to-day basis, delivering mail, delivering food, like all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like we're talking like they're getting the ticks on a daily basis,
like Wild West shit. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, sorry, MSRs are your
main supply route.
Yeah, your main supply route, and then a tick.
ASRs are your alternates.
Right. And then a tick is troops in combat. So that's when we say, hey, there was the 20-minute tick. or something like that. We're just talking about, a kinetic exchange between two individuals that don't like each other.
It's called putting in work, ladies and gentlemen.
Laying that scunion.
Scunion. Earning my retirement point today.
Yeah. So
I got this.
Anytime I see a sergeant first class that's in the that's in the like the motor platoon or the logistics platoon, and he's got a cab, I'm like, yeah, you probably know your way around a 15 to 240 pretty damn well. You know, more than likely he got it as a corporal or E5.
Well, it's like that that female MP. Now, MPs are not combat arms, right? They're combat support.
Right.
So let's just get that straight. But that female MP in Iraq, she won the Medal of Honor because she defended her whole freaking platoon when they got that complex ambush.
Yeah.
She was like moving through ditches, just like putting it in, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give it to her. So anyway, Patrick says, hello, ladies. So I'm sure he's addressing everyone else, not you and me, because if you're not in the position of parade rest, I can't hear you.
What did you say?
Where's your squad leader? I can't hear you. What?
So I've got a funny story about that. Like, as long as we're just telling like military experience stuff. On my first deployment, my I graduated AIT and then I get assigned to Fort Hood.
Advanced individual training.
Yeah, I graduated from basic combat training and then went to advanced individual training. And then I showed up to Fort Hood in what's called the rear D or the rear detachment. Anytime your unit is deployed forward, you will have a small detachment of individuals here back stateside that handle all of the administrative stuff. They're supposed to be, keeping contact with the spouses and not trying to bang them, but
waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
But stuff
not
like
the
that,
Jodies.
Right?
Yeah,
You're right.
Jody's real. Jody's everywhere.
Oh yeah. Jody's a real thing. So I get to rear D, and then the rear D platoon sergeant's like, hey, you need to come meet the first sergeant. Said, all right, check. So I go meet the rear D first sergeant. Said, the E7 holding the position.
Yeah, E7. Yep.
And he's like, hey, Private Jernigan. He's like, look. And I'm going to use some expletives here. I'm going to use some bad words.
Yeah, we're far enough into it. Go for it.
Okay. He was like, look, Private Jernigan, this ain't the fucking Boy Scouts. He was like, you're going to Iraq and you're going quick. Like, I probably wouldn't even unpack. And I was like, hey, check Raj, that's what we're here to do. And he was not bullshitting me, man. 2 weeks later, I was on a bird heading for Kuwait. Landed at went to Camp Buring and then yeah, and then went to Iraq from there, landed in Iraq, and then took a Chinook out there to Taji, right, to Camp Taji.
Yeah.
So I get to meet my real first sergeant for the first time, right?
Yeah. The actual top.
Yeah. Right. I get to meet top actual, right? And then so we call him top. Right. Some first sergeants will allow you to do that. Some first sergeants will not. But we call him top because he is the top ranking enlisted man in your organization.
Yeah.
And so I go to meet the first sergeant, and anyway, I go to parade rest. He's like, Private Jernigan, how was your flight and everything? And then I go to parade rest, and then he comes over to me and he punched me in the stomach. Right. And he's like, don't you ever do that in front of me again. And I was like, all right, Roger, first sergeant, fine. I mean, not like trying to, like double me over, but I was like, like what? And so
just like a little check.
Yeah. He's like, don't you ever do that in front of me again. And I was like, okay, check Raj. So like 3 days later, they do like a 02 health and welfare inspection, right? So they're coming through and make sure nobody's got like any booze or drugs or
food waste and all. Bugs.
Yeah, nobody's got a whole bunch of piss bottles in their room because they're too lazy to go to the latrine, right?
You've always got that person.
Yeah. So the first sergeant comes in with my platoon sergeant. I call Eddie, and all that stuff. He's like, Jernigan, what you got going on tomorrow? I was like, oh, got mission brief and all that stuff. And he goes, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. And I was like, well, we got mission brief tomorrow. Probably got mission day coming up. And he's like, I don't hear privates that aren't standing at parade rest. And I was like, well, you know what? You goddamn assaulted me the last time that I did. You sent in some mixed signals here, buddy. So. But anyway, he was just fucking with me because I was the new guy there. It turned out to be a really cool guy.
Awesome. So I'm gonna specifically get to this next comment because I want to talk about them, and then I'll I'll share one of my dumbass stories. Patriot Force USA, thank you for being here. So if anyone doesn't know who Patriot Force USA is, please go look them up on Instagram. So they make action figures of combat veterans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So please go check them out on Instagram. The stuff they do is awesome. I reached out to them directly and I said, hey, like, you guys are huge supporters of vets. I love what you do, right? I've always followed what you do. My buddy Jeremy and I are starting this new show tonight. We'd love if you came and checked it out. And they said, absolutely. So for everyone who's here hanging out with us, all 44 of you that aren't Patriot Force USA, please go check them out. Time now.
Yep. Just
boom.
Just followed right now. 66,000 followers. That's a good size account.
Yeah, you will not regret it.
Yeah. Much appreciate you being here.
Yeah, their stuff is awesome. And then my buddy Nick, my co-pilot for Neon at Night, is here, and he says, digging the outfits. Dude, you see me wearing more vibrant shit than this, but yeah, cool. Appreciate it. Photo Viper says action figure therapy was hilarious, and that's how far behind we are in the chat.
Oh wow, yeah. I guess we need to catch up.
Yeah, working on it. On the way. Skyfall says, "Hey folks, I'm going to put on my Hawaiian shirt too."
Go Please for it. Look, everybody, we'll just do. Everybody does a Chuckles night.
Yeah, they breathe, baby.
Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. I'll tell you what, these things saved my ass in Africa. Just walking around.
Mm-hmm.
So it was weird, like, because we were QRF, we had a talk, which is a tactical operations center, right? For anybody who's watching. Then so we worked inside a compound and we called it the zoo. So it's like it's a compound inside of your FOB or your forward operating base.
Mm-hmm.
So we called it the zoo because it's all caged off. And so we had our head shed. We're like the CO, the XO, the supply sergeant, the first sergeant, right? And then all their little admin freaks were. Then we had our talk. And then we had like what we called the Joe Shack. And when you first walk into the Joe Shack, there's a room. And on one side, it's all like cubbies. And that's where like your uniform, your kit, your brain bucket, all that stuff was. And then on the other side, we just had weapons cages.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all like our rifles, our sidearms, our open bolts. And they were all just in there. And then in the back, there was just like this big, dumbass Joe room, couches where they would fucking sleep all the time,
mm-hmm.
TV, Xbox, PlayStation, all that shit. So we never walked to work in uniform. We would like leave our clues, which is our containerized living unit, right? You know what a clue is, or a shoe.
I thought we were talking javelin clue.
No, not a command launch unit. But so for anyone who doesn't know, like Jeremy knows, so we either live in what's called a chew or a clue, depending on your operating environment. But either way, it's an acronym for containerized, meaning you live in a connex
mm-hmm.
or part of a connex, living or housing unit, clue or chew. So we would leave ours, go up to our hooch, change out, and then just, when you're QRF, you're like the fire department. Everybody thinks you don't do anything, but when I'm busy, it's a bad day for everybody.
Right,
like,
yeah.
If QRF's going ape shit, like the rest of you, like you should be hiding somewhere.
Right.
So that's just how that rolls.
Yeah, it's usually the C-RAM just went off. And we're out there trying to find what's called the poo.
Yeah, you
right.
Hear it.
So anyway, like in Iraq, right? When I was on QRF, 9 times out of 10, if we had to wind up leaving the wire, so we just had incoming rounds hit, and then they tasked us with going and finding the poo, or what's the point of origin, right?
Point of origin. Yep.
They want to know if anything was left there, right? Perform a little SSE, which is a sensitive site exploitation, to see if there's any equipment or any type of intel we can gather on.
TSE for tactical site exploitation, which is a little more deliberate. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, so we had it when I was in Iraq. We had this really cool 4-day cycle, and so it was you had mission day, and then the next day you would dispatch your vehicles every 4 days as well. Right. So you had mission day, and then you come back for recovery day. Right. Mm-hmm. So you get your if there's any problems with your crew serves or anything like that, you get them over to the small arms repair. Get your vehicle redispatched and looked at and all that stuff. and then the next day you go on QRF. So you do a 24-hour QRF cycle, right? Then you come off of that, and then it's 24 hours off because you were just on for 24 hours, right? And then you catch your brief for the next mission day, like, kind of late that evening. And then, it's so, but it made the deployment go so fucking fast because like I said, everything was just on a 4-day cycle and you were getting days off. Like I'd never seen that before downrange.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty damn cool, man. It hit the bazaar, get, 37 American action movies on 3 DVDs, right? Like, like the 37 action America #1 is like what's on the disc. $7 carton of smokes, man. Just call it a day. It was great.
I want to get to this real quick. So thank you, Jim Largo. We greatly appreciate it. Jim Largo sends a $5 super chat and says, Hawaiian shirts make the ladies weaker than these. 40% of the time it works, 100% of the time.
Hell yeah, man.
I love it.
Yep.
60% of the time it works every time.
Hell yeah, man. Killing commies and banging mommies, dude. It's what we do.
That's it. Just got to put it in.
That's it.
That's
what's best in life.
Yeah. Crazy Ivan. Fucking Irene. Matthew Matson's here and says, spent today playing board games with some vet friends. Very cool.
Awesome.
We played Portland to Occupied Zone and laughed our asses off.
What is that?
Isn't that like the Chaz or the Shaz or whatever?
So, no, Chaz was
Seattle.
Seattle. Ryan and I were dealing with that back in the day.
But Portland had one too. Even if you win, you lose.
Did, right? I think one of the most interesting things about those individuals is that they're the whole, we're all one people, no borders type of thing, and then they occupy a couple of blocks of the city and immediately establish a border around it. It's like, what happened there? You sent a little mixed signal.
Yeah. And then Chronically says, thanks to all the boys who gave everything. Glad we have you two here with us. Thanks to all the vets. I'm glad you're here, Jeremy.
Thank you. And same to you, sir. And everybody that's here in the chat, we appreciate everybody being here as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 100%. I did make it onto an Al Qaeda recruiting video though. I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Like your face?
No. Like my truck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like that.
Yeah. Oh, you got hit. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hence my my retirement meeting on the 16th. Yeah. Whatever. But yes, I did make an Al Qaeda recruiting video. That is no shit. That is it's on YouTube. So
okay, well, I'm not
looking. No, I haven't looked for it in probably like 8 years. So I don't know if it's still there, but I'm sure it's still there.
Most likely. I mean, I think the Taliban's still on Twitter. So
yeah, but it's the music and the writing and the flag and the
they got the yeah. I like those videos.
The stuff that I'm not going to say because then YouTube's going to get us. And then but then you hear that. Right, as we're like responding, and then skadoosh.
Yeah, Jesus.
Anyway, so Chronically says Whack Rifle Coffee.
Whack Rifle. No, so I like Black Rifle. Look, I'm all
coffee
about,
or wallets.
Look, I'm all about. Look, it may seem like I was throwing some shade at Vet Bro businesses, whatever, but you got like. There's a few of them that I find to be tolerable, right? So Black Rifle Coffee Company being one of them, and then Article 15 Clothing is another one. But
isn't that kind of like the same?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're merged now, right? With what's the guy Matt Best?
Because he started Article 15 before Black Rifle Coffee,
right? And so he's a former Bat Boy as well, or he came up through Ranger Battalion. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I do find those to be tolerable, but all these like really like rinky dink, really shitty ones that are just trying to cash in on that as well. I'm going to hold back some of my thoughts on that because that will definitely get picked up on the algorithm.
Because interpersonal tact is one of those things that we emphasize as
right. But look, I'm not throwing shade, man. Get it. Yeah, it's fine.
We'll just talk shit about classified. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, Dem Guts is here. Speaking of putting in work and wrecking things, what's up, dude? Good to see you.
Wrecking dim
Get it?
guts. Yeah.
Get it? Hey. Do you know Ligma?
You know Bofa?
I do. I know Bofa. Both of these barrels are fucked up. I need a new one. Right?
Actually, I got a private to try to contact the Bofa over Battalion Net one time. Yeah, it was pretty funny because we were coming back in, we're leaving the TA and coming back, into the God, what do they call that? Just the normal area, the cantonment, whatever.
Yeah, the cantonment.
Yeah,
so you're leaving the training area, coming back in the cantonment.
Yeah, so leaving TA, coming back to the cantonment area, and I was like, hey, as soon as we come off of the tank trail here, I need you to get on Battalion Net and to notify the BOFA that we're coming back. And he's like, well, who do I? And I'm like, dude, just get it done. I'm trying to do 3 other things right now, and I'm not. I'm on my phone in the back of the Striker.
Yeah. You're just you're just bumping along, like,
right. So I got my I got my Peltors, plugged in, and I hear him over there. He's like, this is I can't remember how he identified himself. He was my golf at the time. It's like, this is whatever golf. Just sending a message to Bofa that we are re-entering cantonment. I say again, Bofa, we are back in cantonment.
Hey, learn how to use the net. What's up?
He's a brand new private, man.
Yeah,
they're just messing with him.
Like, he's having a conversation. It's like, enter the net, send your message, exit the net, man. Just shut up.
Yeah, pretty good stuff.
This is whatever. This is Dingleberry freaking 3-1 golf to Bofa.
Yeah. I find the old way, like the old tricks that you play on your new privates, to be somewhat tiresome now, right?
Grid
check
squares.
The tires. They have the winter air in them. Go check the Humvee for blinker fluid. What was the other one? You give them the hammer from
exhaust
the BII
sample.
bag. Yeah, exhaust sample.
Find the weak spots in the armor.
Yeah, so you give them a
Chemlite
bag.
Batteries.
Yeah,
ACOG batteries, and then somebody's like, actually, they have a Chemlite Stetter battery, and they're like, it's not a Chemlite, then it's a flashlight.
Yeah,
it's
so
called
that's
Chemlite.
That is the fun one, is where you give them a trash bag and you're like, hey, go start up the Humvee. I need you to catch an exhaust sample. And they're like, oh, okay,
back with it. Grid squares. Oh, you want to hear something fucking brilliant? First of all, Bees Battleground says follow them to get lost, as far as like following officers.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure.
So brand new second lieutenants have no idea. Like, dude, did you subtract your GM angle? What? Yeah.
General Motors. Right.
Yeah.
It's and you can tell, like, you got a brand new second lieutenant that's been on the installation for like 2 weeks. Everybody else there, we know what the GM is, like at any point in time. So we just automatically do it,
Yeah, like where we are for most of the time,
right?
It's just 10. You know what I mean? Just 10. Keep it simple, stupid. Then you're always going to get one of those freaking Nimrod brainiacs. It's like, well, actually, it's like 10.0256, and I'm like, come here.
Come here.
I have this cool thing called an invisible line of death. Like, come here and cross that line. I freaking dare you, Private. Come here.
Anybody have a spare Chemlite battery?
10.
Yeah. It's generally just 10. 10.
So Shark Eye says Memorial Day isn't observed in Australia, but I have the utmost respect for our longstanding U.S. allies that have fallen serving alongside us in conflict since World War II. Man, thanks for that.
Oh,
and I gotta say, dude, when I was in Afghanistan, we were QRF for this FOB in RC East. It was like middle of nowhere, right? It was a FOB. It wasn't a COB. So it wasn't a combat outpost. It was a forward operating base, but it was small, right? No airstrip, none of that stuff. And we were the only infantry guys there. There was 28 of us. So 13 from our Alpha company, 13 from our Bravo company, and an E7 who was like our liaison, because the force operations people were Canadians. So he was our liaison with them. And then my XO at the time, right, who we lost, but he was our OIC. And the security sergeants who were in charge of the force protection people, they were all Australians, and there was 5 of them. Every time we got called for anything, like they would come running up. They'd be like, "What's going on? What are we doing?" Like all they wanted to do was fight.
Yeah.
And they were so awesome, man. The Aussies want to fight, and the Kiwis too.
Yeah.
Aussies and Kiwis want to get down. I got in a massive firefight with some Fijians, and they're still rocking 60s.
Really?
Well, as of like 2011 to 2013, they were still rocking 60s.
We got to remember that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're in this fight, right? And we're like exchanging fire, and these Fijians come running up out of nowhere from behind our trucks. And they just push forward. And like all you hear is lift fire. And then everyone's just like echoing lift fire because the Fijians are like pushing forward.
They're jumping in.
Screaming.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of combat vets, there's the ma'am.
What's up, Cobra Commander?
Would you like to say hi to Jeremy? He said, "What's up?"
What's up, Jeremy?
Hey, what's happening?
Nothing, living the dream.
So I'm waiting for my my 4856 because I lied to a commissioned officer last time and said I would have my Stetson on, and I do not. So yeah.
It's okay.
4856 being a counseling statement.
Yeah.
Look at this, dude. You want to see how much ma'am the ma'am is? Look, I'm gonna full screen her. Look at her hair, dude. Now she's in civvies. Look at this hair.
Is she still bunned up?
Boom.
Look at that part.
Yeah, this is my taking it easy for the day part.
I mean, look, I gotta say, look, regs are gonna change. Regs are gonna change, right? The only constant is change, but I still believe that to be the most professional looking, wear for female hair. Just my personal opinion.
I can't get behind the ponytail, like with the exception of when you're PTing, like okay, like PTing, I can let it slide,
Yeah.
But past that, I have a hard time with it.
Yeah. Or if the bun in the back is so huge that their PC like is actually like riding
does
like
the
up
weird
here.
tilt.
Yeah. Does that tilt in the back?
Yeah. Or like,
weird stuff.
Yeah, or like when they wear the sneakers in their uniforms.
I mean, if they're on profile,
yeah,
or females are pregnant. Sure, yeah, go ahead. I know there's a lot of feet swelling that happens there.
I just some things I can't get by. The nail thing actually bugs me still, and the makeup. A lot of them look like they just walked in from the nightclub with their makeup.
Or they're in the field with like these shiny ass earrings on. You're like, light discipline. What?
I had to get on my company about light discipline because they're walking around with their white lights and their phones and everything, and I'm like, put your red light on.
No.
Hell no.
Like smoke in the day and dip at night. Or if you're an old school vet like me, if you are going to smoke at night, you take a piece of 50 cal brass. And then you put your cigarette inside of it, right? And so you take your drag off of there. It makes the inside of the round glow, but you don't, it doesn't show.
It doesn't project, yeah.
So late night to OP, if you need your nicotine fix, that's how you smoke and still, maintain your OP.
I was just a dipper. I quit, so I did quit tobacco, but I was just a dipper. I quit smoking in 2015. So all I did was dip.
So that's pretty common, right? Especially with individuals in combat arms. It seems like everybody within the community abuses tobacco in some form or fashion. And I remember we got these new drones, right? They were called I forget. It was a quad rotor little copter, right? But it was called the Instant Eye, I think.
Yeah, I think that.
It came with these really big bags, and there was a really large one that had a grabber arm, and then there was a smaller one that you could like launch from the palm of your hand, right? But the large one had a grabber arm on there because you could make it hold a brick of C4 and send it on a one-way mission, right? It was designed for you to like fly it inside of like an improved fighting position or a bunker, right? But anyway, what I was doing was Well, I had my guys out in OPs, like 400-500 meters away from the vehicle or forward of me, and they're like, hey, we need dip. So I just put that log in the grabber arm on there. And I'd fly it to the OP, just land it right there, right? They turn the camera back at me, give me the thumbs up, and then they launch it back, and then it's got a home button on it.
You're using your ISR for freaking care package missions.
Dude, I dropped toilet paper with it. I dropped tobacco, like anything but its intended purpose, because I didn't want to fly it that far because it was line of sight, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to lose it over a terrain feature. And then now this $75,000, quadcopter that's got, like integrated ComSec and all the rest into it. I'm like, that's on my hand receipt, bro. I'm not losing.
We got cruising on a camel's got it now.
Right.
I'm
not losing it.
I hate camels. Hate camels.
So when we were in Africa, the ma'am really wanted to ride a camel.
Yeah.
And she kept telling me like, hey, I really want to ride a camel. And I'm like, no, you don't. They're horrible creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would tell her all the time. I'd be like, yeah, like I almost ran one over this time, and I came over a hill and I almost smashed into one this time. And they're just like ignorant, rude, mean critters. Then she finally got to ride a camel out at the little forward air base that she was at.
Yeah, we gave the guy like $10 American. So
Mhm.
like obviously the exchange rate is
That's
like
money.
So he was like, oh yeah, here you can have the camel. Like he didn't care.
Yeah, you can have it. You can eat it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
He brought this sad ass camel onto the base, which was probably not a bright idea, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And we
Rob
fucking rode this thing, and it fucking threw me like 3 times.
Oh, geez. They're
almost
tall
shot
too.
it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she was gonna shoot it.
So I
Like she was straight
pissed.
up like, I'm gonna.
Because I kept getting mad. And they're like, just jump on its back. And I'm like, what the fuck do you think I've been trying to do for the last 30 minutes?
That's crazy. I remember. So when I was in Kuwait, we were coming back from our last deployment, and then we were part of that deadline. Hey, everybody's got to be out January 1st, 2012.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like super late December. We convoy across the border back into Kuwait, and we make it to Camp Buehring in like, I want to say it was like 3 days, something like that. And so, Iron Horse 6 is all over Facebook and stuff, and he's like, your troopers are coming home, and all this stuff. And then it's like, oh yeah, Operation Spartan Shield, you're going to be here for an additional 6 months as a show of show of force on the border. And we're like, oh great, so we're not going home. And not only are we not going home, we're stuck at Camp Boring for 6 months. So and that it's called Camp Buehring, but the place is
The Pogue Olympics.
horrible.
Ugh.
Right? Like all we had was a Taco Bell, Nathan's Hot Dogs, and like Toby Keith would show up once every 3 months to sing really, really bad music.
Yeah, but then you go to Arif John and they have a hard structure Applebee's, and they're all like,
Dude,
it's so hot, it sucks here. And I'm like,
dude,
shut up.
I can tell you about the time I went to AJ for Arif John. We always call it AJ for the first time, right? But where was I going with this? Oh, anyway, so we're at Camp Buehring taking part in Operation Spartan Shield, right? And our battalion commander decides that we're going to go to the field in the field, right? So not only are we still getting hostile fire pay, right, hazard duty pay, right, we're going to go to the field. And so he picks this random grid square in the middle of the desert, and he's like, hey, we're going to go set up shop here. So like, okay, fine. Anyway, so we get to
the FTX.
Yeah, we're doing like an FTX
Field training exercise, people.
So we get to this grid, and we circle up the VIX. We got these soft side Humvees and everything, and we see this dude. He's got all these camels, and he's just like running them in a circle. He's got this big long stick, just beating the shit out of these camels, right? And anyway, he's super curious about what we're doing, so he walks up to us, and I get on the net, I'm like, hey, need a terp, so or an interpreter. So the terp is like, he's like, hey, he's just curious what you guys, are doing and all this stuff. So we gave him an MRE, right? Make sure it's the pork-free one, right? Give him the, the vegetable option. And so he give him the vegetable crumble pasta. So he comes back like
fucking tuna packet.
He comes back like 30 minutes later.
Meat taco is your favorite.
That's true. I go hard for beef taco, boy.
Anyway, so he comes back like 30 minutes later. He's got this massive bowl with him, right? And we're like, hey, you need the terp. He's coming back. And anyway, it's a massive bowl of like full cream, foam on top, camel milk.
Oh,
Right. And then the terp's like, he's like, hey, he just wanted to say thank you for the MRE you gave him. And he wants you to take some of this.
It's rude if you don't drink it.
So I was like, there's no way in hell I'm doing this. But my buddy, Marky Mark, he's like, fuck, I'll do it. And so we saw the pictures. He takes this bowl, right? He goes like that. And you can see he's got the foam right on his top lip. And then he's like 30 seconds later, he's just like, he's fighting. He's like, and it just comes up. And like he had just ate a spaghetti MRE. So like all that's coming up at the same time.
Yeah.
It's, it's one of the stories I'll never forget. Like
he's hanging out with Chuck.
Yeah. Oh man.
Anywho, so Brendan says Chad has more aircraft carriers than Canada's whole armed forces.
That's true.
Yeah, they don't have an aircraft carrier.
That's true.
Love you, Mom.
I'll tell you what, though, I did get the opportunity to train with the Canadians pretty often when I was assigned to what's called JMRC, or the Joint Multinational Readiness Center, in Hohenfels, Germany. And the Canadians would come there pretty often to train with us. And there's a whole bunch of other, friendly countries that would come, and we'd all train together to improve interoperability between, our different nations. So if we do have to go to the next big one, we all know how each other works, right? And we can work with each other in the field. And then I gotta say, man, that there's that joke about the Canadians always being nice and polite and all that stuff, but the Canadian Army knows what the fuck they're doing.
They do.
Those guys are fucking pros, man.
Yeah, I will give them credit for that.
And I tell people that. And they're like, the Canadians. I was like, yeah, they're fucking good, dude.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. They are good. So anyway, Chronically says Hawaiian Jiu-Jitsu. And Big Bacon says, hi.
I got a selfie series. I'm obligated by law to do it.
Dude, did you happen to catch in my 1-year intro that I put that G.I. Joe with Kevin in there? It's like that quick, but he's
no, I did.
Yeah, Kevin's in the 1-year intro. I had to do it.
Hey,
I got to get through some of these real quick. And then what is it? AK Zion?
AK Zion.
AK Zion?
The AK is actually.
Is there a selfie series not cry worthy?
I don't know, man. Now, look, I have seen some good ones.
When Emily was showing hers, I was like,
yeah. I have seen some good ones. People that just have super generic faces, because that's what, that you don't actually get your own custom head sculpt. It's not molded, right? That there's a few different printed ones that they use, and then they take the paint apps, right, and they just lay it over the top of that, right? So even though I showed my entire face, right, this honker is not going to make it onto an action figure. So I mean, so it's kind of gimmicky, but at the same time, if it kind of looks like you, it's pretty cool. So, whatever. I figured I'd give it a shot. I definitely have action figures that cost more than $60, but didn't work out for me.
Well, Yojo Jerk is here. It says, hello all. Hello.
Hey.
Glad to see you here. And then Action says, can we make it a G.I. Joe scrapbook club?
Get Ryan in here for sure.
Yeah. And then Pete says, wait, I forgot my book first day of class. Again.
Yeah. So anybody that's that tuned in after we talked about this, this is not a lore show tonight, but we are starting with the Chuck Dixon run of G.I. Joe, the IDW. So if you want to pick this up, we're going to be doing the show bi-weekly. So you've got time to pick up the books if you don't have them. That way we can all, read along. And as we're doing the show, give your input in the chat as well. Be a really, really cool interactive experience for everybody. And, we'll have the first actual G.I. Joe book club, which I think is pretty damn sweet, right?
Yeah. And then Jim Largo's asking, Jeremy, what's your favorite Joe and why is it Wild Bill?
So I got to go, like, I can't do favorite. I could do top 5, but unfortunately Wild Bill is not in it. Yeah, now Recondo is in there for sure, right? But yeah, Wild Bill is not in there, unfortunately.
Right on.
But I mean, he's a great figure. I loved him in the cartoon.
Yeah.
And
Matthew
you know, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jed.
No, please.
No, I was just saying, if you know, I have a particular stance as far as, you know, crowdfunding and HasLabs and stuff, you know, for billion-dollar corporations. But I got to tell you, if we get a HasLab that's you know, that's got Wild Bill in there with the Dragonfly, it's going to be pretty hard to keep me away. It's the same thing with the Awe Striker. If they do the Awe Striker, I'm going to do my own mental gymnastics to justify in my head why it's acceptable for me to get this, right?
Yeah, you're going to talk yourself into it.
Yeah, he's like, you know what, Jeremy? People change. You may have said that a year ago, 2 years ago.
Okay.
You're not even the same guy you were back then, you know?
I'm just expanding my horizons. It's fine.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I bought that HasLab Sky Striker. I got 2 of them.
Yeah.
And then after I did it, I was like, oh man, I did that just on muscle memory. Why did I do that?
Well, I mean, look, being a 3 3/4 guy and not getting a whole lot of love in the current era, I can totally see why you did it, man. Totally understand it.
There are a lot of other companies that scratch my 118 itch that I don't need to buy a crowdfunded Sky Striker. Why did you crowdfund that Sky Striker when, I mean, I already have 8 Sky Strikers as it is.
Right.
So why did I need 2 more? But I just did it. And then I was like, I only opened 1. I just gave away all the damn figures last night, you know?
Yeah, because
people are like, I can't believe you're giving those away. And I was like,
yeah, it's new. It's new Joe. It's new Joe in the 118th, and you're a 118th guy. So
yeah, and my mind was like, if I don't back it, they're not going to make any more. Whatever.
Right.
But Matthew Matson said Chuck made me stop reading for a bit when he promoted an E7 to an 06.
Okay, we got to get there.
Yeah, maybe we got to get to that point. Who was that, Matthew?
Which E7 are we talking about? Okay. I'm interested to know now.
But see, that's where the beauty of this show is going to really start to unfold as we move forward, right? This is, again, it's a crawl, walk, run, right? It's like a demonstrate, practice, evaluate, and that's what we do according to the principles of training management.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just going to like jump right into it, but you have to take G.I. Joe to certain degrees with a grain of salt because, yes, Larry Hama was a vet. Yes, Chuck Dixon was a vet. But then in certain corners of G.I. Joe, you got E4s flying F-14s, you know? So, like, we just got to...
They're out there flying
some things we just got to roll with,
trying to recover the Weather Dominator and all kinds of stuff.
They can all fly rotary wing aircraft? No, you cannot. So yeah, so we're just gonna some stuff we're just gonna call it out, you know.
Yeah,
other things, yeah.
But it's all in good fun, right? It's all in good fun. It's going to be, you know, good natured at the same time, right? And this is stuff we probably wouldn't have the ability to call out if we didn't have the, you know, the careers that we've had. So. But it's a lot of fun talking with other enthusiasts within the Joe community, especially, you know, people from the Navy as well. I've talked to a couple of sailors that you guys know from the chats and stuff like that, and they are more than willing to come on and talk because I think this book right here, it starts off with a maritime interdiction.
Yes,
right. So
yeah.
Right, like right into a Zodiac, you know, maritime, you know, clandestine interdiction.
It's almost like the intro to Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah, it's so much like that. Yeah. Exactly. So it would be interesting to get, you know, a sailor's perspective on that because I'm assuming that they launched that Zodiac from, you know, another larger vessel and that kind of stuff. So yeah, you know, I've got some Air Force friends as well. I only know one devil dog within the community. So, and I need to reach out to him if, you know, some stuff about, you know, there's a gung ho related story that we need to talk about. So,
yeah.
I only know one though. They are the few, and they are the proud. They are the underfunded.
There's some guy on the, you know, before I PCS to where I am now, and we were at this CrossFit gym, and he's standing there and he's like talking about how he's a Marine and he's a Marine. And I looked over at him and I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I work for whatever J shop over there. And I'm like, so you're an airman? And he's like, no, I'm a Marine. And I'm like, what branch currently pays you? And he's like, the Air Force. I'm like, you're a freaking airman. He's like, no, once a Marine, always a Marine. I'm like, once a Marine, now an airman. And he was like, and he like stormed off. I was like, whatever.
Yeah. You could just, cool. You can go and pay to have your chesty puller tattoo removed because you're an airman now, guy, you know. That's and right. Here's the thing, you barely got it wasn't that long ago that your entire branch was owned by the Army and you were just the Army Air Corps. So shut up.
And your previous branch owned by the Navy.
Right. So like, unless you're in there in an A-10 laying down scunion for me and my dudes on the ground, I don't care about you, honestly. Just you know, whatever. What did you do in the Air Force? Well, I checked the tire pressure on F-16s. Get away from me. Get away. You know. Sorry. No shade to the rest of the branches. It's healthy.
We're allowed. Right. Interbranch friction is allowed. It's good. It's healthy.
I think every branch has their role to play, with the exception of the goddamn Coast Guard. But they're not even a branch of the DoD anymore. Nope. They were enveloped by Department of Homeland Security. After 9/11, so yeah,
that's fitting. It makes sense, right? It totally makes sense.
I guess so. It's just a maritime police force.
Whatever, just get them out of the DoD.
You know. So I have one of my best friends from high school. We still talk all the time. We grew up playing Joe together when we were kids. But you know, his career took him to the Coast Guard, and mine took me to becoming a man. And so, but we. You know, we were talking about the different branches and everything. He was like, look, I'm going to give you a real statistic. He was like, the NYPD, as far as personnel, is larger than the United States Coast Guard. And I was like, you are kidding me. He's like, no way, man. So I looked it up, and then, yep, he's right.
But so I read some statistic, and this isn't like an actually moment. So talking about how I had this former Marine who's an airman. He's talking about how, no, I'm a Marine. And then I come to find out he wasn't even Marine infantry. Right. He wasn't recon. So the Marine combat arms community is very small. Like, it wouldn't even fill one Army regiment. Yeah. It's that small.
Well, I mean, their branch is tiny. Or their department of the Navy is.
They're a subgroup of the Navy.
Right. But here's the thing. How many former Marines have you run into in the Army?
Tons.
I know. Tons. Because you get paid the same and your quality of life is better and you get the newer gear and you got the better equipment and all that stuff. Look, they almost had me with the propaganda when I was, 18, 19 years old. And, I was like, I'm going to be a fucking devil dog goddamn living
with the saber.
Yeah, right? I'm going to have I wound up with the saber eventually, right?
But, well, yeah. I mean, I have an NCO saber. Yeah,
I got my cavalry saber.
Yeah, but they all have sabers and blood stripes, and they're all like, look at me, I'm awesome.
They had me right, gung ho in his dress blues and everything. When I was a kid, the proud, the goddamn Marines, right? And so anyway, I go to the recruiting station. I'm taking my ASVAB and all that stuff, and he's like, it's. The amount of times during the interview process, the amount of times that they say Marine is probably 75 to 100, right? It's just Marine. And so I started asking some questions like, hey, can I pick my own job? They're like, we'll get you close to we'll get you as close as we can to what you want. And I was like, okay, or the Army says they got like $40,000 bonuses. Like, you got anything? They're like, the bonus is you're going to be a goddamn Marine. And I was like, well, okay, hang on. So I went and I talked to the Army and I was like, hey, can I pick my job here? And they're like, if you qualified for it on the ASVAB, we got a training slot at yours. And I was like, okay. So, I had my ASVAB in hand, I had my printout and I was like, what can we do, for 4 years? What's the biggest bonus, we can get? Anyway, I wound up getting a $20,000 sign-on bonus for 4 years. Right. Becoming a soldier instead. So, but no shade to the Marine Corps. Of course they have their purpose. Right. But, just wasn't the path for me.
Yeah. I had a squad leader who was a former Marine. Let me get to Plastic Mercenary real quick. Yeah. I've had this hovering. So He says, G.I. Joe book club and talk about tactics. Count me in, bro, chacho.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's what I want to hear. And look at his picture, man.
That's pretty operator right there.
He's got that Go Faster on his dome. If you're still here, Plastic Mercenary, what's
He's got the ops. Yeah, he's wearing ops core.
If you can type it out with spaces, what's that Be Cool tool you got in your primary firing hand there?
Yeah, looks like he's got a tricked out stick.
Yeah. Is that
pretty awesome?
Is that a forward facing bipod? It's like this big, dude. I don't know. Anyway, let us know because I'd like to know.
Yeah,
I like to know what kind of
looks like he's getting ready for a maritime interdiction as well. He's just gonna swim out there. No Zodiac needed.
Just getting to it, right? Just kick those legs, baby. That's like I do. And then Matt Noon says, I am respectively geeking out right now. That's cool, man, because that's kind of what Jeremy and I were looking for. Man.
Yeah, look, anytime I can talk, Army and military stuff and have good company to do it with, I'm all about it.
So Matthew says Chuck is promoting his new comic book series Alpha Core and his Expendables book and his Conan Booze book now. I don't know.
I think you meant book now.
Yeah, probably.
He had. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Patrick says I was a pogue who got out in 03. That's cool, dude. You're still a vet, man. You're still 1%.
Yeah,
still 1%, baby. That's all that matters. I love pogues. I don't care.
Hell yeah, dude. They got the.
Except for what I would have to freaking fight to get into that PX trailer. Man, they take everything. Let me tell you a story about pogues real quick. So.
What? Yeah, I know what you're talking about because when we're out there on the cop, man, you're
out there working, baby.
Right. They'll bring us back in a Blackhawk once every 5-6 days. Yeah, right. Refit. So you need to have your tobacco, your deodorant, your toothpaste, all that stuff. And you need to expect that next Blackhawk that's supposed to be coming the next 5-6 days is not coming. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and so you wind up getting there super late, and then the PX trailer sold out of everything.
Priority.
Yeah.
So in Afghanistan, in Iraq and Afghanistan, we would get honey buns and we would get all the little bars and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know those were in the chow hall.
Oh, yeah.
3 months, I didn't know they were in the chow hall because they're at the end and they would just take all of them. And then one day I saw one of my Joes eating one. I'm like, dude, where did you get that? He's over there in the chow line. I was like, what? Because we NCOs, right? We eat last.
Right. So you get leaders' rice at the Mermite,
Yeah.
Because that's all that's
called serving. It's called serving.
We always call it leaders' rice because that's all that's left once your Joes are through. You know what we should actually do as far as explaining things is concerned? We need to talk about the term Joe, right? So Joe is very commonly, widely used, accepted vernacular in the Army for a junior enlisted soldier, right? Yep. So if I tell one of my squad leaders, hey, I need you and 5 Joes, for this work detail, that just means, hey, I need you and 4 of your junior enlisted guys with you as the supervisor to come help out with whatever this is, right? Yep. So, anytime someone says, hey, we need to detail, 10 Joes, whatever, it's just what we call like I said, the junior enlisted. You can't say lower enlisted ranks anymore because that's derogatory, right? Puts them down. But so that the junior enlisted in the pay grades of E1 through E4, unless they have a lateral promotion to corporal, then at that time they are a non-commissioned officer, albeit the very bottom of that totem pole, but still entitled to all of the what's the terminology I'm looking for?
The respect of rank of a non-commissioned officer.
Right. Yeah. Of a non-commissioned officer. So that's how that works. So
G.I. Joe, customs and courtesies afforded to an NCO.
Right. There you go. Customs and courtesies afforded to a non-commissioned officer. You would give them to a corporal, regardless of the fact that they have not hit E5 sergeant yet. So,
but they're still the highest of the lowest on the totem pole and the lowest of the highest on the totem pole.
And
I was a corporal, man. I was a corporal on a deployment. I worked my ass off. That E7, who was our liaison, he was like, hey, you're the bulldog. Mm-hmm. If I tell you to go do something, you're a corporal. You're not an E5 yet. So when I left the Army, because I was in from 93 to 2000, And then after September 11th happened, they had so many people coming in. They didn't pull me out of the IRR. They were just like, no, you're good. Just stay where you're at.
Yeah, you didn't need it. Yeah.
So long before any surge or anything like that.
The IRR is the inactive ready reserve.
Inactive ready reserves, yes.
Right. So every contract with the Army, regardless of, I got a 3-year contract, it's an 8-year contract.
It's 8 years no matter what. Yeah.
Right.
So it's either 6 in, 2 in the IRR, or 4 in, 4 in the IRR. But I did 3. So I did 7, right? And then I was in the IRR. It wound up being like 7 and change, whatever. And then I was in the IRR, and before there was any kind of surge or anything like that in 2005, like I was out. They sent me my DD-214.
Right.
And years had gone by, and it was like it was eating at me. Like I'm not doing what I should be doing. Like I believe in selfless service. Like I believe in serving, and it's always been ingrained in me, since 1982, like G.I. Joe, that's all I knew. And I really wanted to go back. And so finally, in the very beginning of 2010, I went back, and I just walked into a recruiter's office. I'm like, here's my college transcripts. Here's my DD-214. I don't want a bonus. I don't want anything else. I just want infantry.
Right.
And she was like, I can put you in this company tomorrow, but because you had like I had about a 10-year break in service.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, you're not going to come back in as an E5. You're going to have to come back as an E4. Then we'll have to send you to 11 Bravo school, which is infantry school.
Right.
Because I was a combat medic. So then I came back in as an E4, but because I was a prior NCO, as soon as I got to the unit, they're like, hey, welcome to the unit. Here we're going to Afghanistan. I was like, right on. That's what I came here for.
Yep.
So I went to my reclass school, right? And I got what's called MOSQ, which is Military Occupational Specialty Qualified.
Right.
So I got MOSQ'd, and then they lateraled me to corporal as a team leader. So because I already had previous NCO experience, but that E7 was like, you're the bulldog, man. Like if you see somebody's hair's out of reg, like I expect you to like go run at them. And so I was like all the time, like, come here, just all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, Pry, come here, Pry. Yeah. Look at this comment. When you guys cover silent interlude, will there be hand and arm signals?
now this one, right?
We need to wedge it up.
We need to wedge it out.
File it.
We need to zip her up.
Ceasefire.
Yeah.
And then read the map. But it's one dude. Yeah.
I need the squad leader. I need the rank. I need the squad leader.
Yeah. Rally.
Yeah.
Rally on me. In route rally point. But
yeah, you could give an in route rally and say,
but it's one guy. How could you really do hand and arm signals for silent interlude? as the Cobras?
It would be interesting, but I guess we can give it a shot, or
open fire.
Chad and I will just learn American Sign Language in the in-between time, and the entire episode of the podcast will just be us signing to each other.
That's
whatever,
it. That's all we're gonna do.
Yep.
Scissor it up. So Beta Ray Bob says, looking forward to learning from the real world experience. We hope people enjoy it, man.
Yeah, and look, hopefully it sounds like there's a whole lot of other vets that are within the conversation as well.
Yeah.
And look, if you think we got something wrong, light me up. I am not afraid to admit when I've made a mistake about something. So, like I said, I want this to be a super, super interactive and collaborative experience with everybody, right? Because obviously you're here, you found your way to Chad's channel because of your love for G.I. Joe, right? That's how, we met each other as well. And so, I want everybody to be as involved in this as everybody possibly can be.
And I love you, man. I'm glad we're finally doing this. You and I have talked about this for a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. So,
Beast Battleground says my battalion did their own, and it was absolutely miserable.
I saw this comment come in. This is when we were talking about doing vehicle recce, vehicle recognition. So,
really?
Yeah, we're like 45 minutes behind in the chat, dude.
No, we're not. We're not. Hey, Jay Bartlett's here. What's up, brother? Yo, Joe.
He's probably streaming on his channel right now because he left a comment an hour ago.
He's like, yeah, I left that shit. So it was an hour ago. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man,
that's what I'm saying,
so
man.
sorry. But I'm toward the end. So everybody's saying hi to Jay. Oh, Patrick. Wow, the chat just jumped. So we're not toward the end. The chat jumped. Patrick says, I have some aircraft identification posters from DS my pen pal sent me. He was a guest speaker. Yeah, is it Drill Sergeant Academy? I don't know. He was a guest speaker freshman year. Okay, cool. Jesse says, oh, you're talking about the South Korean baby Abrams. Yeah, the K1N1. Wow, that was a minute ago, dude.
That smooth bore 120 with the variable suspension. What an interesting machine, man.
Still, I mean, the Russian 125 still doesn't fire as far as the 120. So,
I mean,
Vickman's here. What's up? Says, hey, Chad, man, and Jeremy. What's up, dude?
What's up, Vickman? How's it going?
Rob Vegas too. What's up, brother? I'm sorry, you guys, that I'm so far behind on the chat.
Hopefully you're all still here.
Yeah,
I really hope you're all still here. But this is,
oh man, Tiger Akai didn't win those figures. He won the finest poster. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But like, is this not how it always goes, right? When you talk to, a friend, fellow service member or something like that, and you get into it, and you were talking about your break-in service. I had a break-in service myself. I was out for 3 years, and I had gotten essentially I went into bitch mode, and I was just being a big old bitch. And
yeah, I kind of was too. Well, I was playing music professionally in my break-in service, so I wasn't really in bitch mode. I was in like rock star over drinking mode.
Oh, okay. Well, I had gotten to the point where I felt that I'd become disillusioned, and I didn't fit in with the politics of career soldiers, and really I was just making excuses, right? I needed to shut the fuck up, and then focus on what was important. So anyway, I took a 3-year break, had a good job, and then next thing you know, well, I meet one of my buddies from work. We meet up at a bar this Friday night after work, and we're just having a couple beers. And the guy at the table right next to us, he's wearing a First Cab t-shirt. And so I was like, hey man, what brigade were you in? He was like, oh, I was Blackjack. I was like, dude, I was Iron Horse. Like, when were you there? And then next thing you know, this person that I had just started a conversation with, within 90 seconds, we were talking like we had known each other since we were kids. And and that's when it hit. I was like, that's it. It's the goddamn camaraderie that I'm missing. Like, you're not going to get this on the job site. You're not going to get this in the civilian world.
No.
Like first thing Monday morning, we're doing, maintenance Monday in the motor pool. I could tell
maintenance Monday, baby.
Yeah, I could tell a string of jokes that would get me fired, in a civilian job, and then the rest of my Joes are just standing around laughing their asses off, right?
Oh,
we're talking about the escapades that could have put us in jail over the weekend, but we didn't we didn't make it on the list. So I was like, I'm coming back. And so that's the same thing. I went to the same recruiting station that I recruited out of the last time with my DD-214 in hand. And I was like, hey, Sergeant Jernigan, I'm looking to come back in. Now, it was interesting for me because the amount of service that I had already, I had to do a grade determination because they didn't have the option but to bring me back as a sergeant, because if they were to bring me back as a specialist, I would immediately RCP. Right. Yeah. It's so which is I would be kicked out, right?
Yes. Because your time in grade.
So RCP is retention control points program. Yeah. So I had to do a grade determination, which means I had to do an in-person interview with the battalion commander, right? So I had to go talk to this colonel and then justify why I wanted to come back in the Army and all this stuff. But it worked out. So in 2017, I came on back in, and here I am now, selected for recruiting duty. Yeah,
man, I can't believe that they just like kind of gave you your broadening assignment. But anyway, let me get through some of the chat here.
Right. Hey, so, Chad, I do need to take like a 3-minute break. I'll be right back.
Go take your break. Yeah. Anyway,
I'll be right back.
I'm going to get through the chat. Okay. So Ghetto Finger Gaming, welcome. Glad you're here. Really appreciate it. Action Figure says, when I was stationed at Fort Hood, they busted a huge prostitution ring. I mean, you could read the rest for yourself, but Fort Hood is sketchy. It's still sketchy. Samuel Edwards, I follow them. They make some really nice figures. Yes. So we're talking about Patriot Force. Yeah, absolutely. And then speaking of which, thanks Kickstarter coming this fall. Hopefully we can begin manufacturing. If you're still here, please let me know and I will blast it everywhere I can because I fully support and believe what you guys are doing. Nick says hit the like button. Thanks, Nick. And I'm sorry that I'm so far behind in this chat, people. Denny Geek, I joined a couple vet buddies in a deployment to Bolivia this morning. Oh, did you? Man, I want to deploy to Bolivia. So it's Ghost Recon Wildlands. So just Jeff, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Lawrence, what kind of internet do you get in caves for that recruiting video? Yeah. Gotta love vetsploitation. Yeah, I don't. JLS says, I once convinced my buddy that he needed a new power band for the engine. Love it. Man, I'm so far behind. I'm sorry. Lilith's here. What's up, Lilith? Oh, and then everybody's saying hi to the ma'am. That's cool. Ma'am's gone, but thank you. Appreciate it. Phones in the field. Yeah. Dude, they let kids have phones in basic training now. Cell phones in basic training. So on Sunday, the way that it used to be was you either went to church or you did like a GI party where you just cleaned everything to like 1020 standards, 10 being the lowest standard, like the right, and then 20 being like the moderate standard. So Patrick's like, wait, phones in the field? And I was like, yeah, they let them have phones in basic now. So.
Well, phones in the field, honestly, was part of the PACE plan in real world missions.
Yes, it is. It is. So PACE plan is primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. So that's for comms. Mm-hmm. And it is part of your PACE plan. Absolutely. Right.
So you would have your primary as your
ASIPs or whatever your radio
FM
is.
Comms, yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then your alternate is like your Hojo. Whatever your
or if you have like an ICOM or a Motorola or something like that. And then back in my day, right, we would go to the BFT. We send a message on the
Blue Force tracker.
The Blue Force tracker, right? There's an old antiquated piece of GWatt equipment.
Dude, I love the Blue Force tracker.
Dude, so
man. The FBCB2, dude, I could get in there and I'd be like, "What do you need? You need like a battle net?" Bip, 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 bip. And I'd add all these VICs to the battle net. And I'd give them all their call signs and stuff. Man, I could be like, oh, there's an IED here, and those were cool because you had your little command screen.
Oh yeah,
but I'll tell you, sitting in the vehicle commander side, it's like you have like this massive blind spot, like that massive screen. It's a huge blind spot.
Yeah. Oh, and a Humvee anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Even in our MATVs. But dude, MATV windshields are like this big. They're so small. And it's like 14 feet high. And I'm like, who decided to give me a window this big?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is going on with you?
I mean, look, if you got a forward facing, PKM, then you're coming at it. I'm sure having a tiny windshield is a good thing, man.
Yeah. We were in this fight and the bulletproof windshields on the 1151 on the Humvee, they're only rated for so much action, right?
Right.
Right. So you went to Mike Golf, so you know the term servicing, right? Like when we service targets.
Yeah.
Servicing targets is engaging them like with well-placed fires.
Mm-hmm.
So when my vehicle was being serviced, you want to talk about sweating bullets, man? Like I'm seeing this windshield just like crack and hit and crack. And I'm like, I remember looking over at my driver, who was my saw gunner, right?
Yeah.
And I looked over and I'm like, dude, this windshield is gonna fail. Like it's gonna fail. And like the next two hits, it's just gonna shatter, man. And then I'm like down in the floorboard.
Yeah.
Like, it was not good. Yep. But we were like holding a stationary position. And you know, like when you're a bullet sponge and you're just like, yay,
yeah,
I'm here for the retirement points.
Yeah, move out, draw fire.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's like movements of contact, right? That's one of the things that we do. We make movements of contact. So suspected enemy activity in that this azimuth. So you're going in that azimuth, and you're going to take contact and then return fire.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Gonna be a ton of fun.
Yeah. I'm just moving through the chat. So what do you got? How was your break?
Good.
Yeah.
Had to hit the latrine real quick.
Yeah. I'm getting through this chat. You got access to run through the chat too, You're just over there on break.
Oh, you know what? I didn't accept the invite.
What?
You sent me admin privileges, did you not?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I actually went in there and accepted.
Look at this. That's what they were talking about.
Oh, Duke went from first sergeant to colonel. I've heard of a battlefield commission before. I've heard of a battlefield promotion. You never heard of a battlefield commission?
No, I have, but
yeah,
first sergeant to colonel?
Yeah, that's a crazy one.
What?
That's like one of those ones where you were
first
like
sergeant to lieutenant.
You were like a Spec 5 yesterday, and now you're the platoon sergeant because everybody else died.
Spec 5, man. You said specialist E5. We're taking it back a minute.
Yeah, well, we're talking like Vietnam, era days. Larry Hahn was time of expertise as far as the Army's concerned.
Shablam.
Well, you know what? They are the premier, anti-terror, the specialist force out there. I don't know how they operate. So I don't know, maybe. But the thing is too, is that do they go by any real regulation?
Who? The Air Force?
No, Joe.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
They can probably just do that. They can make the first sergeant the colonel if they want.
At least Hawk went from a freaking colonel to a general. Like, that makes sense, right?
That does make sense.
He was a full bird colonel, then he became a brigadier general. Like,
yeah,
that's what you do.
That is precisely what you do.
You go to war college and you put that star on, and then there you go. So Jenna Geek says, my ass rides in Navy equipment.
Marines, yeah. Or as I like to say, so my cousin is a Marine. And so we have a very, very, like I said, we go back and forth at each other, but it's all it's good natured fun. And I always call him the moron corps. And he always gets like super mad about that, and then he said, my Marine Pogue brother won't shut up about being a badass. Look, he's not a Pogue, he's a Marine.
He's a Marine.
You need to understand
he's a Marine.
Every Marine's a rifleman. All right. You need to understand that.
Everyone's a rifleman first. Dude, I got a story about that, man. real quick. So here's a question. So Danjamin, aka Balake, are there reserves in the States, or is that Coast Guard? So there are reserves. Every branch has reserves.
Right.
But the reserves they're exactly what it sounds like. They are a reserve component of active duty.
And they do not have any combat arms positions there. It's strictly combat support, combat service support.
Yep. That's all it is. Yeah. So if anyone that's in what's called an IDT status, or like the weekend warrior types,
right,
that's going to be National Guard. National Guard has combat arms and a lot of combat support, like MPs. You see a lot of National Guard MPs. Those are the ones that, like, they want to think they're badass, but they don't want to, like, live in the suck. They don't want to be combat.
Are you talking about the MPs?
Yeah.
Oh, so the National Guard anyway is a weird one for me because they wear the same uniform as us. Right. They do weekend warrior nonsense just like the reserve does, but the individual National Guard units belong to the state. Right. So like the Wisconsin National Guard, right, belongs to the state of Wisconsin, and it is funded by the state of Wisconsin as well. Yeah. Right. So that's the real big difference. Chad and I served
for the governor.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So Chad and I serve the people of the United States in the actual federal army. You're talking about, this is like your state militia, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what the National Guard came from.
Right.
Was the militia.
Right.
So
That well-regulated one.
Yeah. So you're going all the way back to the Revolutionary War.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's why I like to call themselves Minutemen and all that stuff. But my thing's like, hey, dude, I do this for a living, dude. I don't do this so I can wear my, OCPs at Applebee's and try to pick up chicks, dude.
I will say this about the Guard. So
they do have Green Berets. Sorry. They do have ODAs.
They do. They absolutely do. Fort Carson has a shitload of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they got 10th group at Carson, and they got a lot of Guard group guys. But that being said, so there are a lot of people in the Guard who came from active duty who did. I know a guy in the Guard. He was active duty, like from the invasion on. He did like 5 deployments. He did 3 of them like back to back to back. And then he got tired after so many years, and then he went Guard. Gotcha. So in like 7 years, he did 5 deployments. And there's a lot of people in the Guard who are like that. They're old active duty people, but they just burned out, and they still want to serve. But I do know a lot of good people in the Guard.
Hey, look, no shade. The only thing is that my only thing is that when the National Guard recruiters don't tell these high school kids what exactly the Guard is, right, and what it does and what the scope of its mission actually is, right.
It's a lot of like forest fires and things like that.
Right. Well, they have them. It's like, hey, you join the Guard, and then you're going to get you hooked up with the post 9/11 Montgomery GI Bill and everything. What they don't tell them is that it takes you 6 years in the Guard to get your education benefits, and
you can't use it for a year.
Right. But in the Army, it takes 3. Right. In the actual federal Army, right, a 3-year contract, 36 months continued service will get you access to the post 9/11 Montgomery GI Bill.
Because you earn a retirement point every day instead of 2 a month.
Right. And you get tuition assistance while you're on active duty. So you take all the night courses that you want to knock out all of your prerequisite
Guard
classes.
Reserve gets state TA.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What did you have to drink out of your Stetson? Man juice.
LSAT.
LSAT. It's like it's like the Dairy Queen thing that they hold upside down, right? You just LSAT and you're like waiting for it to come out. It's like it's like tar.
No, so we did a grog. I remember we had a grog at the end of my spur ride, and then if anybody doesn't know, a spur ride is kind of like it's a rite of passage for a cavalryman. It goes all the way back to the actual horse-mounted cavalry days, where you would they call you shave tail, and so back in the old days, a brand new cavalryman would be identified on the battlefield. They would shave the horse's tail that he was riding, so everybody would know, hey, this is the rookie. Keep your distance. And they were called shave tails. But then, once you'd gone a certain amount of time and earned your spurs, then life got considerably better for you. So we still, we continue the tradition, right, of, shave tails and spur holders and all that stuff. And I remember, so when we did my spur ride at the end of it, it was just like, honestly, it was like 3 days of calorie and sleep deprivation and nonstop activity. And yeah, I mean, we bedded down for the first night. It was like 0-2. And then by this time we had the morning prior to that, we had taken a PT test at 0-4 in full uniform.
It's like sniper school, man.
Yeah. And then so then we went straight to the combat confidence course. And then we went to the leader's reaction course after that. And then we went, they marched us to the first cab stables where they maintained the horses there. And we just shoveled horse shit out of the stables for like 4 or 5 hours straight.
Hell yeah.
And so anyway, on day 1, we go to bed at 0-2, and they're like, hey, take your boots off, take your socks off. You guys are getting like 5 hours. We're like, oh, thank Jesus. And
Nope.
like by the time everybody started snoring, they came through with trash can lids. Get the fuck up, you know. And here we're moving again. So
Military alarm clock.
yeah. So anyway, but at the end of it, you have the right to wear your silver spurs on your boots while in uniform, and then when you deploy as a cavalryman, then you get if you know there's certain parameters that your colonel will set up, but once you've met those parameters, you're entered into the order of the golden spur or the order of the combat spur, and then you get the gold spurs as well. So I have both my sets, and I flex them on privates when I can. It's brand new LTs too. I flex on them too.
I like walking up in my my improved hot weather, the no pockets one.
Yeah.
And I got my badges right there. And all these kids, like, as they're talking to me, I can see their eyes like
yeah.
So
I tell you what, man, it's walking around with your gold spurs on and your Stetson and everything on Friday, man, it's a good time. We really ham it up, man.
Yeah. I love it, man. Like, because I have my my TRADOC, my USASMA, right? My senior instructor badge.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my what's called like we call them Death Blossom, right? At my golf, you've seen the Master Gunner badge where it's all the guns and the missiles, right? So it's kind of like the Expendables logo for anyone who's never seen it.
Speaking
of
like
the Expendables, all the guns, right?
Right.
And so I rock those two badges, and then I walk up, with that. As soon as you get that second rocker, all like tact goes out the window.
Right. Yeah.
So I can sit, I love it, man. I can sit in meetings with like majors and lieutenant colonels, not only because I'm the master gunner, right? But also because I have that second rocker. It's like that insulation. And I just sit there and they say some dumb shit, right? And they're talking all their O stuff, and I'm like, that's freaking stupid. Yeah. Like it Sergeant, in my last name. Do you have any input? Actually, sir, I do. Right?
Actually, sir.
And I'm like, boom, 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 bro. Right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, where'd you get that from? And I'm like, the .31. And they're like, what? And I'm like, 3-20.31. And they're looking at me stupid. I'm like, it's your gunnery TC, thank you. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, I know you don't.
Yeah, like, stop inviting me to these meetings if you don't want my input, because I will happily stop coming.
I will say, so we do these, I don't know if you guys do them in your, but you guys are, what are you, a troop? What are you?
It depends. So if you're assigned to a cavalry squadron, then you're going to be in
squadron.
Troop.
That's what it is, right? So I don't know if you do it in your squadron, but we do it in our battalion. So we have every year we do what's called a YTP, right? Which is so that yearly training plan,
right,
for the next fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll be sitting in this YTP. It's like a meeting, like a workshop. It's like so officers could just hear themselves talk. I don't know.
Essentially, so and show up their
battalion commanders there. Yeah, the BC's there, the command sergeant major's there, right? So they're like the top two in the battalion. And then every company is represented around this massive, stupid, heavy table, right? We've all got them. And so you have like the commander and the first sergeant, and generally like the training NCO kind of sitting behind them, like, I'm here too, And then you have everybody sitting around, and then lining the walls are other chairs. So you have like your S shops, right? So your S1, which is personnel, your S3, which is like training and operations, then your S4, which is logistics. And then hold on one second.
Okay.
And then in some corner, there's me back here like this. Just sitting there dead quiet. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say your training NCO, like your training room NCO, that individual right there, is usually a staff sergeant that's a fucking weirdo, and nobody wants them in their platoon. So they put him in HHC, right? And then make him the training room guy, right? That's usually how that works.
And they're the ones in the computerized systems where they schedule all the training and they assess
doing DTMS and all.
Yeah, DTMS, which is a digital training management system. And then there's the DTS, which is the defense travel system. So they book all your travel everywhere and blah, blah, blah. They turn on your government travel card if you're a bad boy and you can't have it on all the time because you're trying to pay for gas when you're not authorized travel.
Yeah. You got ACS and ACS, the Army combat shirt and also Army community service.
All the totally different things. ACS or ACS? Yeah, ACS. Well, which one? Yeah. So whenever we have these YTPs, these big, like, let's all stand around and, we're all doing the skier, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just sitting in the back like this. And I generally have like 2 or 3 binders at my feet that all have like my little cheater tabs in them. So when I need to call somebody out on their stupid ass decision, and I get up and I take my binder and I flip it up and I go skadoosh in the middle of the table. And I'm like, right there. And then the BC's like, he's right. Take that off. And then I'm like, sucker.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I love it.
So you talk about like sitting in during like command and staff as the Mike Golf.
Yeah. And all their YTPs where they talk about like, well, next year we're going to JRTC, so we got to do this and we got to do that. And then I sat there and I had an argument with one of the commanders. He kept talking about like, well, the weapons company has to do a team live fire, and I'm like,
yeah, can we talk about this real quick?
And they're like, what's up, Sergeant Zola? And I'm like, there's no such thing as teams in a weapons company. And they're like, what? And I'm like, there's no such thing as teams.
Yeah.
You have a crew. That's the smallest level in a weapons company is a crew. And that's 4 people in 1 Vic or vehicle, right?
Right.
That's as low as we go. So like any kind of like buddy team live fire and squad live fire. It's like, no. You have individual and crew serve weapons qualifications. Then you have crew qualifications.
Yep.
That's when you get into gunnery, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Dude, that's what was so good about being in an MGS platoon. For anybody that maybe missed the first portion of the conversation, MGS is the mobile gun system, not Metal Gear Solid. So the MGS platoon is 4 vehicles per platoon, each manned by 3 individuals. So you have a 12-man platoon. It is, and that's including mom and dad. So really, you only have you have 4 junior enlisted men, and they're all drivers. Yeah, right. Because your gunners are
the
E5s.
Lowest position.
Right. So your gunners are E5s, and then your VCs or your vehicle commander is going to be a staff sergeant or higher. And when I say mom and dad, the Army does this really weird thing. Yeah, we talk about the platoon sergeant, we call him dad. We talk about the lieutenant, we call him mom, regardless of their gender. It doesn't matter.
And then everybody plays the dad and mom.
Right. Yeah. So if you noticed during the intro to the show and you saw my file card with my code name on there, Ghost Daddy. A lot of times your recon platoon will go by Ghost, right? We're supposed to get in there without being seen, get out without being seen.
Yep. Snoop and poop, baby.
Yeah, snoop and poop. Late at night while you're sleeping, there's a Cav Scout creeping all around, right? And so that's where the mom and dad thing comes from.
Yep.
But God, the Army's so freaking weird, dude. Like when you really talk about it.
I know. It's fun though. Mm-hmm. So we're hitting about the 2-hour mark. You want to hold that book up again and reiterate what we're doing?
Yeah,
in 2 weeks, right? So this is right. Bi-weekly every 2 weeks. So the next episode will be on my drive home from Joe Fest.
Yep. Just to caveat. We're talking safety briefs now, right? So to caveat on what Articulated Chad said, on a bi-weekly basis, we're going to be talking Joe lore in the comic books, talking tactics, techniques, procedures, and then 2 combat veterans takes on what happened in the book and what we think, how it would have looked in the real world, right? Mm-hmm. So we're starting with this Chuck Dixon IDW run. So we're hoping that as many people as possible wind up picking up these books as well, and that we're all reading them at the same time, so that when we do reconvene every 2 weeks, it's more like a kind of a book club, and everybody gives their input into it as well in the chat. So definitely pick this up because even if you don't want to participate in the chat, it's still just cool to have these because this is a really, really good run. So definitely check it out. Chuck Dixon, G.I. Joe, IDW.
Hell yeah. Thank you for that plug. That was good job. You were a go at this station.
Oh, True Blue, baby.
Yes. And then
would the infantrymen like to explain what True Blue is?
What, when you go blue? When you turn blue?
No. When you go true blue at what do you call it?
Benning?
No. When you get your stupid infantry badge, but it's not the combat infantry badge.
Oh yeah, the EIB.
Yeah, when you go to EIB, right? So
yeah.
if you're first time go at all stations, first time,
yeah,
they call that going true blue, correct?
True. Yeah, you are true blue. Yeah,
right.
You're true blue because you prove that you are a master of the level 10 task.
Right.
Which, you know, the funny thing about level 10 or when we 10-20 or level 20, I'm one of those guys where people call them CAC cards. It's not a CAC card. It's a CAC, common access card.
Yeah.
But everybody says CAC card. And I'm like, so it's a common access card?
Yeah, you added it. You made it the extra card is a redundancy.
Right. Or when someone's talking about an adjutant general, instead of saying tag, they'll say the tag. And I'm like, so it's the adjutant general?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with 10-20, or we are masters of the level 10 task. It's actually one Oscar.
Right, Oscar, right?
So it's when Joe's are like, oh yeah, well, it's a level 10 task. And I'm like, you mean it's a level 1 task?
One Oscar, or if I say that you're an 11 Bravo 40, right?
4 Oscar, but I'm actually
Oscar.
not, right? I am a 4 Bravo Mike.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Because I'm instructor, master gunner qualified.
Gotcha.
But,
so your whole
now we're getting into ASIs and SQIs.
Yeah,
and,
speaking of
skill identifiers. But where the frick was I going with that? Oh yeah, you got that bullet glass.
Yeah. Master Gunner, can you do some ammunition identification here?
That's a caliber 50 round.
The caliber 50 from my position down the hatch. Here we go.
Yeah, caliber 50. There you go. Oh, get it, boy. I actually have a nice collection of brass in my game room. So I've got some 25 millimeter Bushmaster.
Good stuff.
And, I got some caliber 50. Yeah, I got some from the 78, the sniper rifle round. You know, the 308.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that being said,
are you wrapping this up right now?
I am in a second. But anyway, the Soldier's Manual of Common Tasks talks about skill level 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't say skill level 10, 20, 30, 40. But that's one of the things that always pisses me off.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, it's like when individuals say the sergeant major, right? And the sergeant's major, all that stuff.
It is sergeant's major. It's not sergeant majors.
Yeah. Or because
sergeant's major.
We always call them smash, right? Like the sergeant major, we call him smash.
Yeah.
And but it's actually the sergeant's major is but anyway, hey, I wanted to say there was
What's up, Furious? Go ahead.
A comment from Axion Figs that you didn't get to. He said he has scars on his hands from trying to cup cigarettes.
I did. I passed it. I'm sorry. Okay, I saw it, but I passed it.
50 cal brass. Just put it over the top of your cigarette, man. Good to go.
Mm-hmm. I always get in arguments with people. So the difference between a caliber 50 and a 50 caliber, a 50 caliber is a rifle. A caliber 50 is a gun.
Yeah.
Big difference. Now I can't find it. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's somewhere. Oh, there it is right there. Boop.
Scars inside my hands from cupping my smokes at night. Yeah, it's easily avoidable.
AK Zion, you have been redeemed.
Axion, you
actually. We're gonna call you actually
crisp
from my
salute
position.
to you, sir.
Yes.
Axion from my position.
My tracers.
All right, you ready to wrap it up, dude?
Yeah, I am. Watch my laser.
Okay.
Here we go. We want to thank everybody for coming to the first one. It is a hit, dude. It went really well.
Yeah, I think so. I had a lot of fun.
But yep, this is everyone's warning order. Get that book if you got it. Read it, because in 2 weeks we're going hot and heavy. So this was the crawl, and now we're going into walk. Jeremy, you got any closing thoughts, my friend?
Just that I really appreciate you sharing your particular channel and your platform with me. I had a ton of fun. Thank you to everybody that's in the chat that left a like, that left a comment, especially individuals that left a super chat. Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. And just looking forward to coming back here in 2 weeks. And if anybody here is going to Joe Fest, I will be there as well. I'll be working with Jason at the Animal Wars of the Kingdom table, along with another good friend of the channel, a good friend of mine, Kato from Kato's Collection in his channel. He'll be working the AWalk booth as well. So if you see me, stop by, say hi. Let's talk. I love talking to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. The same goes for me, right? So I'm going to be strolling around the whole time. You can't miss me because I'm going to have Zazel with me and, whoever else. But, I'm going to come hang out with you, brother. So
is Zazel doing Outback cosplay?
Every day?
Yeah.
No, isn't he Trigger? He's Trigger. He's Trigger.
Okay.
Yeah. He's Trigger from Action Force, man.
Okay. I can see that too.
Yeah. So anyway, we want to thank you all. And Patriot Force, I know you guys are going to be there. I'm going to come hang out with you guys too. So see this freaking face? You're going to see this face pretty soon.
I need to find out more about your projects. Patriot Force. Just followed you on Instagram, so I'm going to be looking through that. But it'd be cool meeting you.
Man, it's awesome. Totally awesome. But that being said, thank you all for coming. And if you liked it, in 2 weeks when we come back, spread the word. When we start posting shit, share it. You guys are all freaking awesome. And dismissed. Dismissed. As you were.